In this tutorial, I'm going to explain you how you can do moderate mediation in R. This tutorial includes two parts. The first section is about the conditions of doing moderate mediation. The second, I'm going to use a data example to explain how you can do that in R. So now let's look at the first section. In order to do moderate mediation, we're going to talk about here is Model 8. So Model 8 basically is based on Hayes' the published book. So Hayes provide a lot of different model names, and one of the model he named is Model 8. So we're going to first discuss this model, and later I'm going to explain other types of moderate mediation, but that I will leave later. So the first condition for Model A is the C part, so namely this part. For this part, we can write a linear regression model. So here, dependent variable is the dependent variable is y, and then x, and then moderator w, and then the interaction between x and w. So this is the C part. And the key point we're going to look at is that whether the B string, namely the regression coefficient for the interaction item, whether it's significant. So generally, we need to make sure that the B string is significant. Regarding B1 or B2, it doesn't really matter because we're going to focus on just the B string, make sure that it's significant before going for moving to the next step. Another one is A part. After knowing the C part, we're going to look at the A part, namely this part. For this part, there's another regression model, namely here. The dependent variable is mediator M, and then X, and then the moderator and the interaction item. For this, we're going to need to make sure that the regression coefficient for the interaction item X and the W is significant. And we do not really need to pay attention too much about the B1 and B2. We just need to make sure that the B string is significant. Okay, lastly, it's called B parts. For the B part, we can also write a regression model. As you can see that the dependent variable here is y, and this is the first section here actually is the C part we just earlier write a regression model. Yes, so X, W, and the interaction between X and W, and then beyond that we are going to add an item called the mediator. And we're going to make sure that the regression coefficient for the mediator, this item, is significant. So we need to make sure the B4 is significant. For this regression model, we do not really need to pay attention too much about the B3. Okay, in generally, one thing I want to make a comment here is that in generally, after adding the mediator here, the absolute value here, the B3, the absolute value here should be smaller than in the first step. So namely, it should be smaller than the B string here. The B string in the first step. So this in this step, it should be smaller than another. Should be in generally we expect the absolute value from this step should be smaller than the B string in the without adding this mediator. This is just a side comment or side note I would like to add here. Okay, the key point here is that we want to make sure that the B4 is significant. Okay, now this is all the three conditions to do moderate mediation for Model 8. Now we're going to look at a data example. So this is I found this data example online, and the authors published this data set online. So I'm going to use their published data set. And this is the study that the data example we're going to discuss briefly. So here, this is the X is selfish, and this is the moderator. This is X. This is the moderator. This is the mediator, and this is the dependent manager. I'm not going to explain the theoretical part of this the study. That's not really the focus. If you are really interested in learning more about this study, I'm going to put a link down below, and you can read the paper by yourself. Here, just we're going to show you how you can do that in R. In the data set I published, so the variable name for the selfish, namely this is the X, yes, it's called condition, and the emotional intelligence, which is the moderator, is this variable name, and then this mediator is GSR, the variable name, and then the dependent manager, Y here, they call price tag in the data set. So you need to know that what's the variable names in the data set and how that correspond with the SW, mediator, and Y. So now I'm going to switch to the data set part to show you how we can do that in R. So this is the data set, and the authors published or post this data set as SAB file, SPSS data file. You can click File, Save as a CSV file. R can read SPSS file directly use some package, but in general it's easier. You just save as a CSV file and then use the read CSV function to read the data set. Okay, I already convert this SAB file into a CSV file, so I'm going in the R code. I'm just going to directly read the CSV file. This is the PDF, which is come from the RMarkdown. I'm going to post this PDF, and so you can run this R code by yourself. So the first step, basically read the data. So you use the read.csv, and this is the CSV file you saved earlier, and then read as data. So you print the first 6 rows of the data. As you can see that this is the X, this is the Y, this is the GSR, is the mediator, and this is the moderator. This is the manipulation check. Well, we do not need to pay attention to this, so we only need to pay attention to the first 4 columns of data. So after reading the data into the R environment, and then we can source the process R. So here we're going to use the Hayes process macro in R. I have another tutorial showing how you can set up this environment in R. So I'm going to put a link down below if you have any questions. So use this, you can copy paste the process.r, this file, into the same folder as your major R code, and use the source function to read this code, R code, into the working environment. I think doing that is very simple. You just need to use the process function from the process, and then specify that the data equal data, Y variable, X variable, mediator, and moderator, and use modereated. And so you generate a result. As you can see then, basically the R code will generate the A and B part. It doesn't generate a C part. So, but let's just focus on the A and B parts. First is the A parts. The A part dependent manager is the GSR. This is the mediator, yes. And so we're going to focus on the interaction item. So this is interaction with the X and the W, the moderator, and the interaction item. So the P value is 0.02. That means that the interaction is significant. So it means that the A part is significant. Then it's B part. B part is here. The outcome variable is price tag, namely the Y, and here is what? It's X, mediator, and then the interaction between X and the moderator. So we're going to focus on whether the GSR, the mediator, whether it's significant or not. As you can see that the p-value is 0.025, which is significant, yes. So that means that the B pass it meet the requirement. The interesting thing is that in general, process doesn't do the regression, do the analysis for the C part, namely the regression without the mediator. Is the original RMarkdown file, and you can generate it as a PDF. So we're going to just we can add a additional step here to test the C part. We're going to test the C if the interaction item in C part is so basically it's RM and Y equal X plus M plus S IM data equal data. So let's see. Okay, so sorry. So actually the data Y is called price tag. And X is a con. Mediator is GSR. Oh, sorry, it's moderator actually. I made a mistake here. It's moderator CEISSTD. So X is a com D. And then it's moderator actually. So CEISSTD data may say as a result, and then summary result. Okay, so I think this is correct. It's a regression model. It has the X and the moderator, and then the interaction between X and moderator. As you can see that the p-value here is 0.02, which is significant. Yes, that means that we meet the requirement for the C pass. And you look at the regression coefficient here is 0.35, and then you look at that the regression coefficient after adding the mediator 0.30. So after adding the mediator, namely GSR, as you can see that the regression coefficient for the interaction item becomes smaller. That's is consistent the point I mentioned earlier. So I think that's it. This is the R code. I'm going to post this R code as a PDF now below the video, so you can practice by yourself. And also another thing I want to briefly discuss is that in most article you are going to report the indirect effect. So basically most people will report the bootstrapping condition. So here the lower bound and upper bound, both of them are positive. That means that this interval doesn't include a 0. That means that the Mori mediation is significant. That means that the moderate mediation model works. Another thing I want to briefly discuss is that there are other types of moderate mediation. Here we discuss model 8, but actually there's other types of model. For instance, there's a model 5. So all this model name actually is based on the Hayes, his book about the mediation analysis. If you are interested in learning more, you can go to find this book to study more. But basically, the idea is that sometimes the A part interaction effect is not significant. So only the interaction effect between the C part is only the interaction effect in the C part is significant. Then for this case, it's model 5. Conversely, sometimes only the A part is significant, the interaction effect is significant. But here the interaction effect is, there's no interaction effect here. That means that you're going to use model 7. On the other hand, sometimes there's no interaction effect in the C part, but there's an interaction effect in the B part. For this case, you're going to use model 14. In some situation, you might encounter a situation where the C part and the B part, there's interaction effect. For this case, you are going to use model 15. There are other moderation mediation model as well. So I mean, you want to learn more, definitely you can go to read this book to see what kind of models have been discussed in this book. For instance, there could be situation like there could be situation like there's another, the W also is significant on the A part. So things that C, A, B, there's three interaction, both all they are significant. That could be, but I forgot the model name. But that could occur as well in some situation, and there could be other model as well, and they can also be considered as moderate mediation. So if you want to learn more, definitely go to check out this book to read more about moderate mediation analysis. So I think that's it. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, and I try to answer your question. I will do my best to answer your questions. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching.